Hey everybody, it is noon Eastern on the dot. 12:01 now. I have a bunch of questions today. I'm going to do my best to get to all of them. I like to keep these under 20 minutes so you can watch them quickly. So if I start to get close to that limit, then we'll hold off and I'll do the rest next week. I will always answer the questions. It just might not be right now. So starting with what I said I was going to talk about last week, because I had a few people ask me about this, and I know that a lot of you are sort of dealing with this right now, burnout, preventing it, and if you weren't able to prevent it, coping with it. I think it's super, super important as fitness instructors, whether you're teaching just a class or two every week, or you're teaching 10 classes a week, or 20, like, I don't know, you guys might be going crazy with how much you teach. You have to take care of your body because otherwise we can't work, right? We need it. So I wanted to talk a little bit about self-care and being preventative with how we take care of ourselves and how we can then, show up as our best self for our classes. But also then if you run into some signs of potential burnout, or if you're really fully there, how we can kind of backtrack and get ourselves back to energy level and normal. So a couple things to watch out for, especially for those of you who are teaching 10 plus classes a week. If you're starting to feel fatigued, kind of like you do when you're about to get sick, when you're about to get like the flu or something, your body starts to kind of shut down on you. You feel sore, you feel really tired. No matter how much you sleep, it isn't enough. If your muscles are achy and your body is sore, and you have like a sudden drop in your just general like energy levels and your performance, and you get up on the bike, usually when I'm tired just because I didn't sleep well or something, if I get on the bike after a minute, I'm good to go. If that doesn't happen, if you feel like even throughout the class your energy level is just not getting there, those are signs that you're starting to overtrain and you're hitting that burnout level. If you feel like you're not able to keep up with your normal performance level when you're doing your own workouts, you're having trouble sleeping. So this is kind of counterintuitive. Often we think you're exhausted, you're burned out, you're going to sleep all the time. I actually have the opposite, and I know a lot of people do. You can't sleep. Your body is working so hard to recover itself that you're not able to actually fall asleep at night, or you have insomnia. You're up and out a lot. So that's a sign. Headaches, if you're getting a lot of headaches, you're going to get sick, especially this time of year when your immune system is kind of falling apart. If you're also overtraining, you're way more prone to illness, so you might be getting sick more often. Decrease in appetite. Watch your heart rate. Your heart rate you might have a higher resting heart rate than you normally do. That's something that I always watch. It's actually really interesting. I know that I'm going to get sick because my heart rate speeds up first. So usually I think around like 52. If I'm like resting around 56, 58, or even higher, I know that I'm about to get sick. So it's kind of the worst when I notice that happen. But these are all signs that you're overtraining or you're burning out. What we do when this happens, now it's not always preventable. If you're teaching 10 plus classes a week, sometimes you're just going to hit a wall, and you just have to do your best to take care of yourself and get away from that and get back into your center. First of all, as instructors, learning how to teach off the bike is key. So unless you want to cancel your classes and sub them out, which is always an option, right? But I hate doing that. So if I can teach off the bike, or at least teach a lot of the class off the bike, that will help me a little bit. So that's an option. Make sure you are getting enough sleep, and try and have like a steady bedtime. I know it sounds a little ridiculous, but if you're like me, you're going to bed at 10 some nights, at midnight other nights, at 8 some nights. That's not good for your body. Your body needs kind of an internal clock that is consistent. So try and go to bed the same time every night. That will help a lot. Make sure you're fueling properly and staying hydrated. Believe it or not, I see so many of my instructors who aren't staying hydrated, which seems like a no-brainer, but you're probably needing a lot more water than you're actually getting. So just keep a water bottle with you at all times, even if it's bubbly water. that's fine. And just sip, as you're working at whatever it is you're doing, just have it with you. It'll help you stay hydrated. And make sure you're getting enough electrolytes, especially with headaches and stuff. I find that a lot of people aren't getting enough sodium, potassium, all that good stuff. So just, keep a banana with you. There's a lot of powders. I don't like to recommend those necessarily, but if that's the best way that you can get something in you, have a little supplement of electrolytes. They have a ton of them now. I have one for times when I need it. But it's important to keep all that stuff and take care of your body. So, and in terms of just honestly mental self-care, when we get really run down and burnt out, that part is equally, if not more, important. So whatever it is that calms you down, that self-care is going to be different for everyone. So for me, it's taking my dog for a nice long walk, listening to a podcast and just relaxing. Or it's sitting on the couch with my husband and just reading a book while he watches probably football or basketball. Something where you're able to really just tune out for a little while and just like breathe and not have your mind going a million miles a minute and not focusing on 10 different things at once, just settling in. So for some people, it might be a bubble bath. If you meditate or you do yoga, that's perfect. Journaling, I always recommend to a lot of my clients. If you're new to journaling, I know it sounds super, getting into your feelings and whatnot. Super easy. 3 prompts every day. Do it every day for a week. So first thing you journal about, 3 things that you want to do that day. So like a to-do list, just 3 things. Keep it simple. Make them doable too. Don't make them huge. Second thing, 3 things you're super grateful for. So again, doing this every day. So 3 things, 3 to-do items, 3 things you're grateful for. And the last thing is a sentence from your future bio. So Kate is a millionaire who has a house in Hawaii and has 18 dogs, and, whatever it is, something that kind of gets you in dreamland and makes you happy and finishes up with that. So super easy way to start journaling and something that can definitely start your day off right and get you in the right mindset, especially with those grateful items. And really quick, it'll take you 5-10 minutes tops. So those are just a few things. I mean, we could talk about self-care all day. I have a million different ways that I take care of myself and I suggest to my clients, but again, it is individual. So just make sure that you're doing at least one thing for yourself every single day. Just one thing, and make it more than just, having a coffee. Make it something that takes maybe a half hour at minimum, and it's just for you, just time for you. It is really important, guys, especially if we want to prevent that burnout. So I know a lot of you are struggling with that right now. Do your best to take care of yourself. Give yourself the time you need. Get subs, like I said, if you need it, teach off the bike, whatever it is to keep your body in kind of the right space. That's what you need. Okay, second question. Amanda asked what my favorite brand of leggings are. So I totally switch depending on, I don't know. I just get bored of things, but right now I'm really liking Beyond Yoga. I have the long leggings, and then they have some like velvety feeling ones that I love. I know a lot of people at our studio wear Carbon 38. I don't love those, to be honest, but they seem to be a hit. Booty by Brabants are another popular brand. Again, I've never actually tried those, but I've heard good things. And then Athleta brand, I have a bunch of those, and Lulu's if you want to splurge a little bit. I do suggest, though, like spending some good money on leggings, because if you're teaching a bunch of classes, you want to be comfortable, you want to feel good in them, and it's worth the investment if you're going to be wearing them all the time. Think about it like, if you were a working professional in the corporate world, you would spend a good amount of money on some nice clothes because you're going to be wearing them, you want to feel good in them. It's the same idea for an instructor, right? It's your work clothes. So invest some good money, get a nice pair that you love, and it'll make teaching more fun. Because you'll put them on, you'll feel like a rock star. Okay, Martin asked some good questions. First one was, so he said they have a bunch of new bikes, 7. I love that. So you're gonna have some new riders. That's a good thing. That's exciting. You're gonna hook them and they're gonna love you. And you said you planned a kind of progression for the next session, but would love to know my take on it. So I'm assuming you mean my take on how I would deal with the new riders mixed in with the experienced riders. I'm curious to know what your progression is and what that looks like, but this is kind of going to apply to everyone because it's about the new year and we're all going to have some new riders in our classes. So I think a few things that we can all do. And if your gym doesn't offer, there should be a beginner class, or at least the option to come, 15 minutes early and get kind of a spiel about the bike and get them comfortable. If not, I would strongly recommend you suggest that to your gym. Not only is it helpful for you because you help them get ready and they're taken care of. People aren't coming in when class starts to learn how to use a bike. But it's good for them because they'll feel way more comfortable if by the time they're starting class, they have their bike set up, they feel good, they're sitting there, they've already been pedaling a little bit, they're in it, they're ready to go. It's way better than trying to do this all last minute. And inevitably, you will have brand new people who show up at the start of class and you'll have to deal. Hopefully you guys have some front desk people or something that can help you with that. We had 2 back-to-back sold out classes today, and I think I had 10 new riders in one of them, which was just craziness. 15 minutes in between classes to turn that over. So it can get a little nuts. So the thing that I always make sure to do with new riders is at the beginning of class, when you're getting them set up, you're getting them into their warm-up, remind them that everything goes at their own pace, right? The beauty of indoor cycling is that we're all on our own bikes. We all can take the ride as we want, as we need to, take breaks as we need to. Really encourage that, because somebody gets in there for the first time and tries to keep up, they're going to have a hard time and they're going to be really intimidated and not want to come back. So just make sure you're creating that safe space for them to take it as they need it. I would limit the amount, if you're going to have a class full of newbies, limit the amount of standing out of the saddle. Especially if this is a little bit of an older crowd. That's always something that's going to be difficult. If you do take them out of the saddle, keep it slow, maybe just for a hill. Try not to speed it up too much. Teach them, go through a progression of speed in the saddle, and make sure you teach them what the lack of resistance feels like and why it's important to, if you're going to run it out in the saddle, to have a little bit of gear underneath you, right? We never want the flywheel doing the work for us. So these are like the basic principles that we all know, and we kind of assume a lot of times that other people and our riders, our experienced riders, know this, and they probably don't. So this is really good stuff to really just, you can take this chance, Martin, with these new people to just focus on the basics. And not only are you helping those new people, but you're probably going to have a lot of experienced riders who maybe didn't hear you say that way back when, and they're going to learn something new. So just really focus on technique, focus on what the bike should feel like, teach them how to adjust their gears, how to find their flat road, right? That's always really hard for people to first figure out where that flat road is. Keep your high intensity stuff maybe to a minimum, or if you do it for the experienced riders, maybe coach the newer people into just, adding a little bit of gear and pushing a little bit, but not going crazy with it. You can really teach anything to both crowds. It's just a matter of coaching them through it. So you're probably going to be talking a little bit more than you normally would. You want to help those people. You want to keep an eye on those new people, so know exactly where they are when they come in there, and you'll be able to, help them and keep an eye on them a little bit more. So I don't know how many specifics you wanted me to get into here. Again, if you want to post your progression or a little bit of it and get some feedback, I'd be happy to do that. But hopefully that was helpful. Matthew Alexander asked, how do we help people find a flat road? That's a really good question. That is going to take a lot of coaching into understanding what the feel of the bike is like. So I would say you have to steer them first away from having no resistance underneath them, right? And it might take a few years to get to that point. I like to have people close their eyes, imagine they're riding on a bike outside, and adjust the gear until they feel like that's where they are. So it should feel, it's basically just above that point of feeling like there's nothing underneath those pedals to a little something, right? That's the flat road. So it's going to take, there are so many different cues we could go through with that, but there's a lot of different ways you can coach it. So it's going to depend on the person what makes it click. Just really being repetitive with those explanations and giving them different kind of analogies for how it's supposed to feel. But I do like the closing your eyes and pretending like you're outside and adjusting until that point, because that seems to help people who are new to the indoor riding. So sorry, I'm going to get back to these other questions. What do we have here? Oh, Martin, this was a good one. So Martin has a rider who feels the burn always on one quad. And you adjusted the bike positioning, you did some glute exercises. Okay, so what I've noticed actually, Martin, this is really interesting. A lot of people have different lengths of legs, or not just the length of the leg, but the proportion between the hip and the knee and the feet might be a little bit different. And that will cause soreness because they're off, right? So one leg might be set up right with the setup that you have, but the other one might be off and it's trying to keep up. So someone like that, I would actually recommend that they go see an orthopedist who can give them, they might need like, what do you call those little gel things that you put in your shoes, or some sort of orthotic to help them because they have different length legs. That's really all you can do. I know some people will like turn the seat so that one leg is a little off. I don't recommend adjusting the bike to aid something like that. It really requires something from a doctor to put in the shoe. So I would suggest that, because I bet you that's what it is if you already tried a bunch of this stuff and it's not working. It's actually more common than you think. I have that happen a lot, and people go see a doctor and it usually helps. So let me know how that goes. Okay, this one was a private message. How do you handle a class that runs over or almost into the next class? Okay, so this is a big pet peeve of mine. I think it is incredibly disrespectful to the instructor and the class after you if you're running into their class. Now, granted, things happen. Sometimes you have to start late because the person in front of you started late, and then it just pushes everything. I get it. We have about 15 minutes in between our classes, so when it's packed, like I was saying this morning, it gets crazy. It's really hard. You got to stick to that time. If your class is running over because maybe you started late, or maybe you accidentally put a little bit too many songs or something like that, you have to make sure that you're cutting when you're supposed to, not just for the instructor after you, but for your clients, right? Because they probably have somewhere to be, and they're not going to be happy if you go 10 minutes over your class. So what I would do is, you're going to probably have to ad lib if you had a little bit of a plan for your end. Maybe cut out an interval or cut out whatever it is you were planning. Turn down the music. If the song is still going, you can turn it down so it's like the music is fading out, and you slow them into their cool down. They can stretch on their own if they have to, if you realize too late that, class is going over. But I really think as instructors, we have to be respectful of other people's time. And I know personally, if I go to a class that either ends way too early or ends way too late, I get really frustrated with it. It's tough. So the thing that you can do here for the person that asked this question is make sure that when you're setting up your playlist, it's the right length. Because if you do that and you start on time, then you're going to end perfectly on time. So for example, I use Spotify, and I crossfade about 5 seconds. So I'll put, this is really geeky, but I'll put all the lengths of my song into, all the songs into an Excel spreadsheet. I'll add up the time, and then I'll take out, so if it's 13 songs, I'll take out 12 songs by 5 seconds with the crossfade. So that's 60 seconds. I'll take that out, and I'll see what time that gives me, because that's going to be my total run length of time. Now I can repeat that or write it down here. I know it's probably really confusing, but all in all to say that you just want to get your timing down so you don't even have to worry about going over. If you do end up going over, just, apologize, move on, and don't do it again. That's all I can say. I know there's a lot that goes into creating a playlist, and sometimes it's hard to get that time down, but I do think it's very important. We want to be respectful. I think it's important. Okay. Mic selection. Okay, so I'm going to put in Matthew, I think this was your question. I'm going to put in the comments right now the mic that I use. It's $200. It's not cheap, but it is incredible sound quality compared to, there's a similar one that's $100. And that's what a lot of our instructors get. I went for it because honestly, the difference in the sound quality makes the class so much better for people. And I think that is going to make or break some people coming back to your class. So I know it's pricey, but if you can invest in a good mic, I think that one is solid. I also think it's the one that they use at Barry's boot camp. And I know there's a couple other studios that use it for different kinds of group fitness. So I do think it's a really good mic. I like it a lot. If you have one that you're looking at and you're trying to decide on, I can let you know if I've seen it before, but I know that one's good because that's what I use. Last question we have for today, and we are running over a little bit, but I just want to finish up. So CECs, aside from Mad Dog, are there any resources you recommend to get CECs from? So I kind of pick and choose, and I've talked about this a little bit before. I kind of pick and choose depending on what I want to learn about. So if I always use the example of the power training. I always like to learn more about power, and spinning, Mad Dog Spinning actually has a really good power training course. But if, for example, Schwinn had a really good one, or Kaiser, basically any of the big spinning certifications, or not spinning, indoor cycling certifications, usually have some pretty good continuing ed courses. And they should all be approved within, you can check, there's a way to petition for credits with spinning with Mad Dog. So you can see if it would be approved ahead of time, just email them. It should be, as long as it's helping you be a better cycling instructor, they should approve it. So backtracking, I always look at something that I want to learn more about. So if I want to learn more about power, or if I want to learn more about breathing or heart rate monitors, or any of that stuff, depending on what I feel like I want to learn more about, I'll search for courses related to that. So it might even be courses that are put on by personal training certifications. I know ACE, I got certified as a personal trainer through ACE, and they have some courses that would be approved by Mad Dog as well. So you can really look anywhere, but I would nail down what you want to learn about first, and then see where you can get that course, and then ask Mad Dog if they'd approve it. So there's so much to learn about, and we're always kind of trying to be better. And I'm sure you have a few things that you want to get better at. So search for courses that are related to those things, and then see where you can get them. That's probably the best way to do it. And again, it should be approved if it's helping you become a better instructor. So, okay, guys, I've been talking for 25 minutes straight. I'm going to let you guys go. If you have more questions, you know the drill. Just post them. I will get to them next week. I hope you all had a lovely holiday. I should have started with that. I'm sorry. If you celebrate Christmas or Hanukkah or Kwanzaa, whatever it is, we're coming up on the end of the year. Lots of good stuff happening, a little crazy, at least in our classes, and it's fun. Embrace it. 2019's around the corner. Big goals for the new year. And I have some fun stuff coming up for you guys. I'm going to post about it soon. I want some feedback from y'all. So keep an eye out for that, and I will see you guys around. And again, more questions, post them. I'll answer them next week. Have a good day, guys.